Hey YouTube, what's going on? Today's video is going to be awesome. It's going to be super awesome, and perhaps it'll be the best video I've ever posted on my YouTube channel. As you would have already seen from the title of this video and the thumbnail, or perhaps seen on other social media somewhere, myself and the Camp Columba team were lucky enough to have the opportunity to film a bunch of videos with Australia's biggest and most successful YouTube channel, How Ridiculous. And just saying it out loud even now is crazy. It's been a couple of months since we did the project, and it still seems insane just to even talk about the fact we got to do it. So today's video is going to be all about how this project came to be, a behind the scenes look at what went into it, a bit of a behind the scenes look at some of the videos they posted, the footage we were able to get, and just like how we pulled this insane project off as a team at Camp Columba. So grab a comfy chair, grab some popcorn, and buckle up for a crazy ride. This story starts back in the summer of 2022 at the end of one of our school holiday camps in January. At the end of all of our camps, we have an opportunity for both the campers and leaders to give their feedback, and part of this is they can suggest themes for future camps. Leanna Goldie, who was a leader at the time and is now actually one of our staff members, came up with the idea of, why don't we do a How Ridiculous theme camp? And at the time of her suggesting this, I knew who How Ridiculous was. I'd watched quite a few of their tower dropping videos and their dam videos, and I thought, man, that's pretty cool. And I was also aware they're Christian, so I was like, perfect. This checks all the boxes for camp theme. Let's do it in the future. Fast forward like roughly 2 years, a year and a half into the future, I'd completely forgotten about the How Ridiculous idea, opened up my sort of camp notebook and went, right, let's do this as a theme. Let's lock it in for the January 2024 camps. So we set the How Ridiculous theme. Then I thought to myself, flip, wouldn't it be insanely cool and just outrageous if we got the actual How Ridiculous team to visit Camp Columba and come to these camps? And I knew it was a long shot because these guys have over 21 million subscribers on YouTube, like 50 million followers on TikTok, multiple millions on Instagram and Facebook. And so they probably get contacted all the time being asked to do stuff. So it's going to be tricky to get in touch with them. But nevertheless, I started doing some research and detective work online until I found a few emails. And I got into crafting an email to hopefully, one, tell them who we were, show them how cool Camp Columba was, and get them inspired to come and visit us without sounding too desperate or just like we're asking for too much. So I got to crafting this email, came up with the email, and that was kind of part one. I had the email to send to them, but I needed something to grab their attention. And so for every camp we do at Camp Columba, we have a camp poster that I usually put together to advertise all of our holiday camps. And I like to think all my camp posters are pretty good, but for the How Ridiculous one, I knew I needed to make something really special. So I again did some research online, and after looking at some of their YouTube banners, some of their logos, their website, like Google Images and things, I came up with and put together a poster that I thought represented How Ridiculous really well, but it had a really nice Camp Columba flavor. And I was really stoked with how it came out. And so what we did to start with is we got a photo of Matthew up the Abseil Tower, pretending to drop a basketball, pretending to drop anything really, just like they drop things from towers in their videos. I then put this image into Canva, cartoonized it, and then just added a bunch of stuff. We even had like our own cartoon dinosaur. We put a cartoon trampoline with a basketball bouncing off. There's paper planes. There's all sorts of stuff, and we made the fonts and colors similar to How Ridiculous, but also had enough Camp Columba in there and originality to not get copyright. And then I thought, right, I think this shows off How Ridiculous and us pretty well. Let's attach it to the email. So I attached it to the email, clicked send after a quick prayer, and just went, well, God, it's in your hands. Let's see what happened. To be honest, I didn't really expect to receive a reply at all, for it to even amount to anything. As I mentioned earlier, they have so many followers, they probably get hundreds of thousands of emails like this. So my one's just going to end up in the trash heap of emails. And I had tried in the past before to reach out to Dude Perfect actually like this. And I'd emailed Dude Perfect once a week for like a month. I did this so often that they actually emailed me saying, hey, we're not coming, please stop asking. Which, fair enough, I guess, but you got to shoot for the stars, right? And dream big. And I've done the same thing with these guys, but I only sent one email, and because I prayed about it, I was like, you know what? It's in your hands, God. Fast forward a couple of months, and I had not heard back from How Ridiculous, as expected, and for the most part, I'd kind of forgotten about the idea altogether. One morning, I decided to check my emails on my phone before work, which I don't normally do, and I had an unusual email from this guy called Brett Stanford. I didn't recognize the name. I'm like, oh, this is probably spam or some nonsense. I clicked on it, and some of you are probably aware of who Brett Stanford was. I just forgotten, but Brett is one of the like 3 main guys in How Ridiculous, and one of the founders. And when I clicked on this email and opened it, I was completely shocked, flabbergasted, blown away to find out that Brett had read the email, responded to it, and essentially had said, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. Really stoked you're doing a camp on us. We've got this idea that we want to roll a bunch of crazy objects down a hill. We've wanted to do this in New Zealand for some time. Possibly, if you could help us find a hill that's suitable for us to film a video, we could maybe come to camp and visit you." Flippin' crazy, right? Like, I've sent this email, How Ridiculous had read it, and now they're saying they might come visit if we can help them, like, film a video. And this was probably the most exciting email I'd ever received in my life, and I had to take some time to compose myself before replying because I was so excited. I remember typing stuff out of my phone. I was like, no, you need to think about this, talk to people, and type something sensible out and respond properly. Once I composed myself, I typed an email back, and this led to Brett and myself emailing back and forth for a couple of weeks, kind of fleshing out exactly what it was How Ridiculous wanted to do, what their ideas were for filming with the big hill, what kind of hill they were after, and what Camp Columba was hoping to get from them coming. Once we had sorted this all out and had a bit of a draft of what we wanted to do, Camp was then set the task of scouting locations for a potential hill for their video. The mountain or hill the How Ridiculous team were after needed to meet the following criteria. It needed to be big and steep, at least 100 meters or higher. In previous videos, they had shown me that they had done stuff rolling like golf balls, footballs, etc. down like a massive ski jump. They wanted a hill that was even bigger than that, so 100 meters or higher was essential. It needed ease of access to get an array of crazy items and objects to the top of the hill, so vehicles, tractors, etc. needed to have access to the top of the hill quite easy. It also needed to have a safe and clear run out, free of any obstacles. There couldn't be any public roads below. There couldn't be anything that could risk being damaged or cause a safety issue for anyone. And it needed to have a landowner who would grant permission to use it and was keen for them to film there. Arguably, quite a big order to fill, but thankfully, where we live in Southland, we are blessed with an abundance of hills, an amazing community of farmers who aren't afraid to get a little or a lot loose. And I'm lucky enough to actually be married into a family of one such farmer named Andrew Tripp, the owner of Nithdale Station. So after a quick conversation with him and the farm manager, Russell White, we concluded that they were both keen on having How Ridiculous potentially visit the farm, and so I headed out to their highest hill to gather footage to send to the How Ridiculous team, showcasing the hill, working out how high it was, getting drone angles, phone angles, etc., showing everything about the hill to give them a good idea as to whether it would be worth them coming over here. After sending through the footage to the How Ridiculous team and then watching and reviewing it, we actually set up for our first Zoom call to meet each other and discuss the idea further. It was a pretty surreal moment, as it's not every day you get to have a Zoom meeting with famous YouTubers, and it was looking more and more like this project could become reality. I really want to make note of something pretty embarrassing I did and pretty funny I did at the end of this first Zoom call. I was really keen to get a screenshot or a photo with the guys during the call of me and Dave talking to them, as I didn't really know if we'd get the opportunity to talk to them again. I wanted to have at least a photo of the memory. And this Zoom call went really, really well. And we got to the end of the Zoom call because the conversation was just flowing, the ideas were flowing, and we're in the middle of saying goodbye when I thought, oh shoot, I completely forgot to ask to take a screenshot or a photo. I'm just gonna do it now really quickly so I have it. So I leant over like this, clicked the screenshot button on my MacBook, and much to my horror, I forgot that MacBooks make a very distinct like sound when you take a screenshot. My sound was on all the way up. I heard the screenshot sound, Dave beside me heard it, and I'm 100% certain that Brett and Scott, the two How Ridiculous guys that were in on the call, heard the screenshot as well. So after I took the screenshot, you'd think I'd say, oh, hey, sorry, I should have asked that photo. Is it alright if I get a better one? But instead of asking for their permission or explaining myself, I just said, oh, see ya, and hung up. Super unprofessional, absolutely classic, and what a blunder. But like, it had to be done. You can't talk to How Ridiculous or a famous YouTuber and not get a screenshot, so I'm happy I did it. Somehow this complete Zoom call, social media blunder did not put them off working with us, and so for the next couple of months, me and the Camp Columba team scouted a few other locations around Southland and gathered footage to send through to the How Ridiculous team of potential hills that might meet their requirements, hoping and praying that we could find a location that would enable them to commit to coming over. During this time, Brett and myself were emailing back and forth regularly, discussing potential locations, and Brett would often send through like Google Map or Google Earth locations of pin drops and photos of locations that he'd found online that he thought would work well. And then Dave, myself, Melissa, and Megan, the whole Camp Columba team, we would then spend time finding out, do we know the people that own this land? If we do know them, do we think they'd be keen? If we think they're keen, can we get in contact with them? And there's lots of like phone calls and like emails and stuff back and forth trying to find a location. During this time, we also had multiple video calls with How Ridiculous. We almost have them every week, and luckily I didn't do any stupid screenshots during that time, kept it very professional, and during these Zoom calls, we would just iron out the logistics of their potential trip. We were working out things such as when should they fly over, where would they stay, what's their accommodation like, what should the duration of their trip be, what day would they visit camp, what does it even look like when they visit camp, will their visit align with the camp, would they need people to help them filming. Heaps of factors we had to work out, which we were discussing in these video calls, as well as discussing the locations that we sent through to them. After a couple months of this emailing back and forth, scouting locations, having video calls about it, working out all the different moving parts, we eventually landed on Lockheed and Nithdale Station as the hill How Ridiculous was going to use, which got me really excited as it was a family hill and I was really familiar with it. And it meant that they were 100% committed to coming to New Zealand, and How Ridiculous bought their plane tickets to be in Gore from the 16th to 22nd of April. And this was super exciting as it actually lined up perfectly with our school holidays, meaning that we could get them to camp at a time our school holidays were on, at a time our school holiday camps were on. We could get kids to meet them and we could get leaders out there to help with their filming. And this gave us 2 months to prepare for their arrival. Now that we had confirmed that the How Ridiculous team was coming to New Zealand and driving down to Pukerau and to Gore to film, it was time to finalize what exactly they wanted to film, what items they needed to film, what day they were going to film each video, how long they thought it would take, and the logistics of how Camp Columba could help and how they would be able to pull it off. And so they wanted to film 4 videos, which were as follows. The first video idea they had was a how far will it go, where they'd have various items that they would take turns rolling down the hill to add up an accumulative distance to see who could throw their items the furthest. They had a destruction bowling video planned, where they were going to use tires of all different sizes to roll them down the hill as giant bowling balls to smash various objects at the bottom of the hill. They had a video titled Caravan versus Mountain, where they wanted to roll a caravan and a bunch of other different items down a mountain to see how it went. And they had a video called 3v3 car racing, where they wanted to race 3 cars at a time and multiple other objects in threes, where they'd race each other to see who's got to the bottom first. So these 3 video ideas were broken down to Google Doc with a list of items that were required for each video. And before I show you this list, let me tell you, the list of items was the most absurd, psychotic, crazy, overwhelming, like just what the heck list I'd ever seen in my life. Some of the massive items they had on this list were a boat, a caravan, like an entire caravan, a quad bike, a jet ski, a piano, 3 full cars, 100 plus tires, like 100 plus tires, that is a lot of tires, and so much more on it. So I'll have the list on screen now as I'm talking. Like, there's an insane amount of items on here. And our task was to 1, source all these items, and then 2, pick them up and transport them to the top of the hill at the farm before the How Ridiculous team got here in April. In addition to this, we also needed to prepare the farm site by removing multiple fences, setting up a barricade around a power pole, and having vehicles and machinery like diggers and tractors, etc. ready for them to use when they're here for any jobs that might need done. And all of this we need to do on quite a low budget. And so this was an absolutely mammoth and near on impossible task, and a task that most people would be like, you know what, this is straight up stupid, we shouldn't do this. But the Camp Columba team were not people to be scared of a challenge, and we really rose to the occasion and set out to find all these items. And even though it was a crazy task, we're like, you know what, God's given us this opportunity, let's be faithful, let's get after it. And so the team started searching for these items everywhere. We started asking family members for them, people we knew. Like, it got to a point where I'd be driving around, I'd be like, there's an old quad bike in that farmer's paddock, I wonder if he wants it. We started posting things on like the Southland Free Stuff page, on like the Gore Buy and Sell, the Southland Buy and Sell page, and the Gore Community page. We're just posting stuff everywhere on Facebook. We're doing our own Facebook posts. We sent out newsletters, and I know myself and like everyone else in the team had numerous very odd conversations with people saying like, hey, we want to buy this thing off you. We can't really tell you what it's for, but essentially we're throwing it down a hill of sorts with some kids and it's going to be really cool, and some people are helping with it. And it's a pretty odd conversation for me to have as a nearly 30-year-old adult with another adult being like, oh, hey, can I buy this old car off you to throw down a hill? Like, it just sounds like we're a bunch of bogans doing idiotic things. And like, you could argue we were, like, to be honest, but it was for a really good cause. And so we began having these conversations with people, and it was this point I began documenting this process of collecting items and doing little vlogs of transporting to the top of the hill and just keeping track of the process. So we'll jump into that now, what it looked like. Awesome team, it has finally begun. We have our first items here. So a massive shout out to the Curry family for donating us about 35 hay bales. These will be used in the How Ridiculous video to make little like golf hole things. So they'll be stacked up into like a golf hole sort of square, and then hopefully the tires will roll into them and stop, something like that. But a massive shout out to them for getting those. It was a bit of work, but we've got our first items, stoked. Alongside those hay bales, the Currys and the Murray family have also donated these two massive front tractor tires. Like, these are gonna be insane going down the hill. And we have these big like 44-gallon drums, which are going to be stacked up something like this or standing up tall ways. It's like bowling pins, and they're from the Goldie family, as well as these car tires with rims in which will roll really well. And super excitingly, like the most exciting item on the list yet, is we had this caravan thanks to Camp Columba. We've had this thing for years, it's not being used, and we thought, what the heck, let's roll this thing down a hill and smash it. So one of the videos involves throwing this down the hill, and I'm super excited to do that. Awesome team, we have our next items here. We have 1, 2, 3 bowling balls and some actual bowling pins, which is pretty dang cool. Had no idea how I was going to get these. It was quite ridiculous trying to find bowling balls, but then I remembered Keith from Super Bowl in Invercargill is an absolute legend. Back when I was working at the YMCA, he used to let me take kids in there all the time and youth in there to play some bowling and just hang out with them and mentor them. And he actually sent me these 3 bowling balls and these pins for free, which is amazing. So massive shout out to Keith. Thank you so much for helping us to do this. Right. Awesome team, we finally made it to the site and to the farm. So we have our first load of tires thanks to the Murray family. Hazel loaded all these up by herself. We have the camp caravan, which will not go out with the ute, will go out with the tractor. A bunch of barrels. We got Leanna, we got Colin, we got a bathtub. We got heaps of stuff to take up the hill. It's exciting, it's happening.
The boss goes, oh, thanks.
I draw Megan. Dave, you're not doing anything, Megan's doing all of it. There you go, I'll just do that last bit.
Nice.
Test roll, 3, 2, 1. Alright team, we're here at the next stop. Thanks to Bridgestone and Gore, they've given us access to all of their old tires here. We can have as many as we want. So we're gonna load up Colin Bruce's trailer and Hazel Murray's trailer with tires to throw down the hill. Thank you to Bridgestone. Hey, good heavens, what an insane load of tractor tires and truck tires. Trailer's loaded up, Hazel's ute's loaded up, Colin's ute's loaded up. Back to the farm. Boom, back at Nithdale, and check this out. The Nithdale Genetics tractor. So Nithdale Genetics has been kind enough to donate us their tractor for the day. Alan, the tractor driver, is driving it thanks to Russell and the team at Nithdale. And we're pulling the caravan all the way up that hill, which is awesome. So while they do that, while Alan pulls the caravan up the trig and up the hill, I'm gonna go get the boats to bring in and pull the boat up. Man, this is fun. As you might be able to see behind me, I picked up a boat from Jason Cullen. Absolutely ludicrous and incredibly generous that he has donated this boat to us for like next to nothing. The boat's hooked on. Time to take it up to the top thanks to Nithdale. Man, how crazy is that? Tires, boat, all going up the hill. Unreal. What a cool experience, a cool thing to be a part of. Tight corner. How good. Oh mate, we're away. Look at that. Awesome team. Thanks to Alan and the tractor, the boat, and the caravan have made it to the top of the hill. We're slightly lower than the top of the hill, as up here it gets insanely windy, so hopefully here they won't blow away, but the first two big items are here, which is super exciting. And we got tires in the boat, and heaps of tires in the caravan, which is awesome. And who knows, maybe the guys will use this as shelter if it does rain at all, but we are set up pretty dang well. All right, we're back at Bridgetown for round 2. Phil's here to help this time, Phil Greer. Let's load up. Here's car number 1. It's a big shout out to Tristan Wesselson for selling this to us for next to nothing and draining all the fluids out of it. This thing's gonna be awesome rolling down the hill. And it looks like a full car, which is pretty cool. A big shout out to Colin and Josh for getting it here. And car number 2 coming in from Jules Briers. Josh and Colin again helping out, which is epic. Alrighty, got another load, managed to score some tractor tires with rims. Shout out to Chris Parker for donating these. We also, over here, managed to get a jet ski, and it actually looks really, really good. The jet ski was thanks to a Tracy Ann Kane, and a lawnmower thanks to the McGregor family, and another car from Chris Giles. So it's all piling up and it's all happening. Another load of wooden wire spools thanks to Radcliffe and Gore. These will be pretty sick to roll down the hill. And the next item, the barrelator from Camp Columba and Kelvin Church. This thing has been retired. We used to like stand kids up on top of it and they'd fight while it spun around, but all the dents in it are from people actually falling and hurting themselves. So we thought we might as well chuck it down the hill. I think it'll be pretty ridiculous. Sweet, check out this ridiculous item. We've got a motocross ramp here. Phil Shelford's helping me out, so thanks to him and Stu Ewing for getting us these ramps. The idea being that how ridiculous guys will roll tires down their hill, they'll jump this, which sounds crazy, but they'll probably pull it off. Bit of a mission point up there, but we're gonna pull this one up and then go get another one down there.
Ultimate Hero Stew. Should be good. Old Stew's just gonna push them up.
Alrighty team, got another day of loading stuff up the hill. It's kind of the last day to do it. It's a little bit stressful. Got Phil and his ute back there, which is awesome. Got Colin loaded up with all kinds of things, getting it done. Alrighty team, the scariest item to go up, we got Tristan Wesselson's car to set up. Eli's driving it. It doesn't actually drive, it just rolls. Yeah. Phil's towing it. Hopefully she's all safe. So there's quite the hill up there, so we'll check in at the top. This will be the easy, easy. Yes. Heck yes, team. Oh, I was nervous about that. The cars are gonna make it. Yet another day of taking more tires up the hill in Colin's ute. Quite the view today though, it's pretty scenic. Awesome, back out at the farm for another day of preparing for How Ridiculous. The job today, so Keith Perry and Nithdale Genetics and Russell White have been kind enough to lend us the tractor. We're stacking a bunch of Nithdale hay bales in front of the power pile just to make a bit of a barrier. So we're throwing like way out that way, but it's in the off chance something does roll this way. We want full insurance protection that we don't hit this. If we hit this thing, like all the South Island probably has no power and we probably go to jail. But like this is solid as, there's no way you'd get through all these bales into it. There's a few more to go and then it should all be set up for the guys. Alrighty, so we got one barrier here, like so it doesn't bounce off the four-wheel drive track that Keith's putting in there. And then this big barrier here, and Dave, the ultimate barrier. As well as Keith putting out the hay bale barrier today, we have BK Fencing Excavation taking the fence down. Team. So we have the last car here. We're towing it behind the tractor with Keith in there. I actually have to get in this thing because as you can see there's no steering wheel and we still need to use the brakes. So I'm going to be pulling the handbrake as we go down the hill. This is terrifying to be totally honest because it's pretty steep off the edge of that hill, but hold now, God keep me safe. Holy bananas, that is a steep edge to go off. I do not want to fall off there, it's kind of scary guys, to be totally honest. Oh! Holy shoot, that was a full-on experience. My goodness, I'm glad we're done the downhill. That was a brief look into some of the work that went into collecting all these items and getting them to the top of the hill at Nithdale Station. I wanted to say a massive thank you now to everyone who helped with this. In particular, Colin Bruce, Eli Chalmers, Hazel Murray, Phil Greer, Russell and Philippa White, Alan Gorley, Dave Bruce, Keith Perry, Stuart Ewing, Philip Shepherd, Diamond Christie Auto, BK Fencing Excavation, and everyone and anyone who provided us with an item from the list or anyone who drove something to the farm that I've missed. It was a mammoth task and all these people just, it wouldn't have been possible without them. That compilation then of all those items going to the hill and picking up stuff was really only a small look into the work that went into pulling this off and getting all of these items. Because there was many long days, many late nights, and a lot of long hours at work of collecting items and transporting to the top of the hill. In Colin and Bruce's ute alone, which I borrowed, I drove over 1,000 kilometers just around the Gore district, like around Gore, Matera, like any of the field day sites, like Pokraw area, Kawira area. I did over 1,000 Ks in under 2 weeks, just driving items around Gore and then to the top of the hill, which is crazy to think, like the time it took. There was also limited times when the track was actually suitable to drive to the top of the hill due to weather. As to get to the top of the hill at the farm, it's not like a paved road, it's essentially just a muddy four-wheel drive track, and even with a little bit of rain, it became unsafe to do so. And even when it was perfect conditions and dry, to drive a whole trailer load, to load up a trailer of things from the bottom, drive them to the top, unload, and drive back down, often took about 45 minutes round trip, and like we did, like, I don't even know. I want to say I drove to the top of that hill probably 25 times with loads of stuff going up and down, and like at 45 minutes a pop, that's pretty crazy. And alongside doing all this collecting of items and driving stuff to the top of the hill, all of us staff at Camp Columba were also doing our normal hours and our normal work at camp during our busiest time of the year, with school group instructing every day with schools coming through for the term 1 camps, and then preparing for our 2 weeks of school holiday camps. And school holiday camps are normally our busiest time of the year anyway, like they're insane weeks. So like, fair to say, there was so much going on, it was flipping crazy. On top of all of that, there was also the constant time pressure of getting everything done and items to the top of the hill before the How Ridiculous boys arrived. However, despite how difficult it was and all the stress, through the grace of God, through His strength, and the help of so many amazing volunteers, we managed to get everything ready in time when the How Ridiculous guys arrived. When the How Ridiculous team arrived, it was really amazing to meet them, but there was still a lot of responsibility there for Camp Columba, because we had our school holiday camp running simultaneously to the How Ridiculous guys being there. So what a typical day looked like when the How Ridiculous guys were here, I'd get up at 5:30, grab my like half a dozen leader volunteers, tell them what we're doing with How Ridiculous, get to the farm by like 7:38, film with the How Ridiculous guys until dark, clean up till like 8 o'clock, then go to camp and quickly catch up on what's happening at camp, get the kids into bed, debrief with the leaders and volunteers, and then prep for the next day of filming How Ridiculous, preparing random items until sometimes like 1, 2 a.m, go to sleep for another 3 hours, and then rinse and repeat. So it was an absolutely crazy time, and due to this, I didn't really get to film much behind the scenes stuff or like much of like, hey, this is Brett from How Ridiculous. But we still had an amazing time doing some of the most outrageous things I've ever done or ever seen. And I got to share it all with the Camp Columba community and with like some of my leaders and some of my friends, and flip, it was cool. Like, I've never been more tired, but my goodness, it was cool. And I was lucky enough, Brett and the team did let me film some stuff with my phone of what they got up to. So we're gonna get into that now and get into a compilation of some epic stuff going down a hill. Let's go. That grass is looking fresh. Oh, the tree. The tree. Keep going. Come on, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I think it's gonna make it. Oh! Yeah! Oh, I stalled. Hi!
Cars in 3, 2, 1, go!
What on earth? Oh my goodness. Oh! Hey!
Oh, what a trough!
Has the trough been hit? Oh, there goes my rimmed one. My rimmed one, there it goes. That's my tire, my tire. Alright team, so after all the hard work, we're here at camp and we've actually got the How Ridiculous team here, which is pretty flipping cool. It's got Brett, Derek and Scott. Also in the behind the scenes team, Josh, Toby and Jack. Oh yes. We're about to bring them in to meet the kids. Let's do it.
Yeah, got it.
Hopefully they recognize who you are. We've been watching videos a lot. Alright, come on in team. Beat him, beat him, beat him! Oh my. Oh, that's good,
So that's for you, Levi, and the team.
Awesome. Okay, all the kids are gonna stay here. What incredible moments and what an incredible journey. After all the hard work that we all put into this project, getting to the moment where we had the entire How Ridiculous team out at camp and secretly walking them into the hall to surprise all the kids was one of the most emotional and incredible moments of my life. To give these kids at the bottom of the South Island of New Zealand, essentially the middle of nowhere, the opportunity to meet YouTube stars and create memories that they'll have for a lifetime was really an incredible feeling. Their reaction was absolutely insane. Like, if you've seen, there's kids shaking each other, there's kids screaming, kids going like this. There's kids crying from being overwhelmed. Like, it was so flippin' cool. And whilst all this craziness was going on inside the hall and all the kids were losing their minds over How Ridiculous being there, I actually had to step outside to compose myself, and I actually had a little cry. Because this project, I've never put more effort into anything like this before in my life. Like, there's so many late nights, so many long days, so much stress, so much organization, so much not knowing if it's gonna work out. And to have all these things work out and just to have it work out so incredibly well, it just overwhelmed me to see that, like, God had been with us the whole time and he made this happen. It was just an incredible feeling and one of the coolest feelings I've ever had in my life. And I feel incredibly blessed to just get to do this for a job, but also just to get to experience in general. You know, that feeling made all the long days, the late nights, and the stress all worth it. Just that, like, one-minute moment of them walking in made it really worth it. Because I can assure you, there are very few kids anywhere in the world, let alone in Southland, that got to experience something like that, and to play a part in putting that together was just priceless. And so, that was how the Camp Columba team were able to pull off filming a bunch of YouTube videos with some of the biggest YouTubers in the world, and were able to convince them to come visit our kids and poker out the bottom of the South Island. Was it one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life? Definitely. Did we bite off more than we could chew? 100% we did. Did I sleep for 18 hours straight once it was all finished? Absolutely. I was dirt tired. Through God's strength, can we do things we could never achieve on our own? You better believe we can. Can God create incredible opportunities you never thought were possible? Without a doubt he can. Like, we could have never done this without him. And if there is anything that stands out to me from this entire project, it would be those two facts about God. That one, we can do things through his strength we can't do on our own. And two, he can provide incredible opportunities. That really stands out to me from that project. And the other thing that stands out to me from the whole How Ridiculous project is that here in Southland and at Camp Columba, we are blessed with the most amazing and incredibly generous community of people. It would be no exaggeration to say that over 100 people were essential in this project being possible. From people lending vehicles and equipment, landowners, farmers, machinery operators, everyone that provided items, the cleanup crew, people that made food for us, our leaders, the ministry team at camp, And of course the How Ridiculous team themselves. Like, there are so many amazing people that made this possible, and it just makes me feel so good about the world and the place I live in. And I feel incredibly blessed to live in this place and to have such an amazing community, and I just absolutely love Southland. So again, a massive thank you to everyone that was involved in this. And lastly, I wanted to say a massive thank you to the How Ridiculous team. Brett, Scott, Derek, Josh, Jack, and Toby. Thank you so much for giving us a chance and flying over to New Zealand to work with us. It was an absolute pleasure getting to know you guys and doing some absolutely outrageous things together. Like, I never dreamed ever in my life I would throw a full boat down a hill, and I'm stoked I got to do it. I'm really stoked I got to do it with you guys. Like, it was insane. Additionally, thank you for taking the time to get to know our leaders and volunteers during the filming days. You definitely could have just treated them like slaves, but you didn't. And I'm so stoked you spent the time to talk to them. And actually, a massive shout out to Scott. Thank you so much for giving Tegan, one of our leaders, you gave her one of your How Ridiculous Sherpa jackets. She was so stoked on that, and that meant the world to her. So thank you so much for that, Scott in particular. And thank you outside the filming days for visiting camp, visiting our community, and just giving these kids a lifelong memories. Like, it was absolutely incredible. And you guys are absolute legends, and we wish you all the best for the future, and we'll definitely be praying for you guys. For any of you wondering, what were the How Ridiculous guys like in person? They were just normal people, and I think the saying "boys will be boys" sums them up pretty well, as they're just a bunch of mates who like doing silly things, filming it and putting it on YouTube, and they're lucky enough to do it for a job, which is pretty cool, and they present it in a really awesome, encouraging way. And the other thing I thought was really cool about them is they have a very genuine faith, and they have a real awesome willingness to share it with others. So if you ever get the chance to meet these guys, be sure to have a yard to them, listen to their testimony, ask them about their story, as it's pretty incredible. That about wraps up the behind the scenes look of what went into the How Ridiculous project and the journey we went on with them. I don't really know what project like this is next for Columba or myself, or if we'll ever even do something like this again. But I have learned through this experience that through God anything is possible, so watch this space, I guess. Who knows? Maybe we'll do another camp like this. I hope it's not as hard, but like, whatever God wants, right? And so to finish, thank you so much to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video. To keep up to date with what is happening at Camp Columba, be sure to give our Facebook page a like. Make sure you also give this video a like. I'd really appreciate it. There's a lot of time and effort put into this. Like, I don't know if I'll ever put this much effort into a video again. Comment below any thoughts you might have, and share the video with anyone who might enjoy it or benefit from it. Thanks so much, team. It's been epic.